Howdy again, fellow hunters, outdoor enthusiasts, and friends from the mountain country. Welcome to In the Wild Outdoors with Brenn and Jesse. I'm co-host, singer, songwriter, big game hunter, and sometimes hunting guide Brenn Hill of Hooper, Utah. Here with co-host, bush pilot, hunting guide, and owner-operator of Saddlehorn Outfitters, Jesse Tatman of Daniel, Wyoming. We are excited once again to bring you stories and real-time insight on all things pertaining to the West, and particularly big game hunting. This is In the Wild Outdoors. Man, Jesse, I'm telling you, I have spring fever. Really bad.
You and me both, brother.
Oh, man. You've been digging out. You've been in the snow.
Yeah, it's thawing, and it's like the snow's so wet, the snow blowers don't do any good now. You just got to dig it. You
know what I hear about living in Daniel, Wyoming, is you get 9 months of winter and 3 months of relatives.
Yeah, but the view is second to none anywhere.
Yeah, right. No kidding. Well, this is about my favorite time of year, and especially when I see grass start turning green. I live in the banana belt in Hooper, and we get green grass and dandelions in the lawn. I know that it's time to hunt black bears in the West.
You know, if I had dandelions in my yard, you know what I'd have there in the spring?
What's that?
Bears.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would. Where you live, you would absolutely have bears.
They like dandelions and people's green grass, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's that time of year. You know, it's been busy for me the last couple of weeks. We've been preparing for bear season, you know, between me getting baits ordered and Bob and I, we spent a bunch of time getting meat chopped up and frozen, and then I had to get my Wyoming bear bait stations applied for, and Idaho. And in the process, I had to go get the bait station tags for there, and getting everything ready to go. Went through all the gear, making sure everything's all oiled up and ready to go, and inventory and everything, and making sure that set of reins isn't broke or something we might need. That way, when the guys grab it, it's ready to go. So.
Saddlehorn Outfitters running hunts in the Palisades in Idaho this year and just east across the border in western Wyoming.
Correct. Yeah. So we did even apply for some bait stations right down on Little Mountain.
Okay.
So we'll have some in Three Corners right across out of Colorado. They can't bait bears in Colorado.
Right.
Can't bait bears in Utah, but guess what?
Yeah.
100 yards across the line, I can.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So, we got some bait stations right there. We got some, lots in going to have 6 in the Hoback. Mm-hmm. There's like 10 on the west side of the Tetons, and then down the Snake River Canyon, we've got some. And then, of course, in the Palisades, we got some pretty big bears. We're waiting for them to come out.
We've seen, gold and chocolate color phase black bears in central Idaho. Big male boars that look like grizzlies, and you have to watch them for a while, make sure the characteristics of the nose are different, and obviously no hump on the back, but
their ears,
it does take some doing. Are you all booked now for spring bears?
No, I'm still booking a few. People are calling me, and I leave some spots open because I get quite a few people through the spring. They start seeing the bears we start putting on our social media and stuff. And but we have some. I think I have 15 bear hunters booked right now. Mm-hmm. And the way I'm doing it kind of is where I've got Wyoming and I've got Idaho. Mm-hmm. Is most of my hunters, I'm telling them we're not going to buy a tag until you get here, because if we got big bears coming to Wyoming, we're probably going to hunt Wyoming.
Right.
And if we got big bears coming in Idaho, we're going to target the ones in Idaho. Yeah, so, speaking of spots and hunts, I donated a hunt to the raffle.
Yeah, you did.
Spring bear hunt. Yeah. And it's going to be May or June, whenever somebody wants to go. June 15th. Wyoming closes, but in Idaho it runs through the end of June.
Right.
And we have bears the whole entire time. So that raffle, is all exclusive except for their tags and being able to get to the location.
Yep.
Meet us in Jackson, Idaho Falls, or Alpine, Wyoming. And then all food, everything is on us. And it's 6 days.
Yep.
4 days of hunting. They can go on to our website, inthewildoutdoors.com. buy raffle tickets.
Buy a raffle ticket, win a hunt that's worth $5,700.
Right.
And the time of your life.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
You know.
It'll be a blast.
I'm going to be there. Hopefully you're there.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
Yep. You, one of the things that you do all spring between now and when you hunt bears is your clients call you, or people who are thinking about it will call you and say, Jesse, what do I need for my spring bear adventure?
Right.
And so we have a gear list here, and I actually brought my pack here that most of what I think I carry, but because I'm a little, I'm usually guiding for friends or my sons or whatever, and we're sometimes our bear hunts are spur of the moment rawhide deals. We buy an over the counter tag on the way to somewhere in western Wyoming or Idaho, and we're hauling off into the wilderness, but you have a list here put together of what you recommend your clients. I think we ought to go through it.
Yeah, so this list is on my website too, Saddlehornoutfitters.com. There's a spring bear one, there's a fall one. This is Idaho backcountry gear list. This basically comes from, my 34 years of backcountry hunting, and it's it's not a necessity. It's not something they have to have, but it's just recommendations that I recommend from all my time. And a lot of it is stuff that I learned hunting some really harsh environments, out of the U.S., Canada. Alaska is in the U.S., but it's a pretty harsh environment, Russia, places like that the weather is pretty rough.
Some of what is in this pack is there because I had to live through the time I didn't have it.
Right. Yeah. It's a valuable lesson we learn, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then guiding, you have to carry a lot of stuff because if somebody does forget something or safety, like for instance, in Wyoming on the wilderness, the guide has to be in control of all the food. The hunter you can't even put your food in the saddlebags on a hunter's horse or in his backpack. The guide has to have the food because of the grizzly bears.
Yeah.
So, that's a requirement.
Yeah.
So, I think we should go through this spring bear gear list. The first thing we're going to start with clothing. I recommend wool socks.
Absolutely.
And this isn't just in your backpack. This is gear to bring to my camps,
Yep.
And so I got 4 pair in there just because socks are pretty important.
Yeah.
If you get wet, you can rotate them out, They don't weigh too much. Synthetic liners. For those that don't know what a synthetic liner is, it's basically a blister guard sock that you put under your sock.
Yeah.
So as you're hiking, it keeps you from getting blisters.
Yeah. Sometimes I keep
them down.
I keep a pack of moleskin in there. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I carry moleskin as well, but seal skins. For those that don't know what seal skin socks are, they're waterproof. And places like Alaska or whatever, your boots get wet. You got to cross a creek, even up high. You're remote. You wear good boots, it runs over the top, especially in the spring, right?
Yeah. One of the things I think when you're hunting, the thing that keeps you in the field that extra couple of hours, with a good attitude, a good solid attitude, and that's kind of sometimes the difference between success and going back to camp and wishing you were hunting. But I know one of the things that has really weighed upon me and my attitude sometimes is wet, cold feet.
Right.
And you do that a couple of days in a row, and it's going to get you down.
Right. And, that's one of the valuable lessons I learned from my dad, being an Army Ranger, Vietnam.
Yeah.
He said, your weapon and your feet.
Yeah.
2 things you had to take care of.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a big deal.
So there's a lot of stuff that's about, footwear, and it's the same with me, especially, you got a sheep hunt or something where you're remote or we get packed in, we're way up high, but we can't just go get stuff, and it'll ruin your whole adventure, right? So the other thing that I got is synthetic or merino lightweight thermal long underwear, top and bottom, 1 pair. I like merino.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And you can buy different weights of it, right?
Yep.
I like that. And I wear a lot of the old Under Armour stuff. I kind of got attached to that when Under Armour first came out with it, and I like the way it fits. So I wear quite a bit of that as well, and it's synthetic.
Kind of wicks away the sweat.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Like right now, I got just a cotton shirt on. So a lot of times when I get out in the morning and I start climbing, especially sheep hunting or mule deer hunting, I put my pack on, we leave straight out of a tent, we start up the side of a mountain. I'll put just a cotton shirt on underneath to soak all that sweat up as I'm going up.
Yeah.
And then once I get up there, I strip my outer layer off, pull that off, and hang it up and let it air dry,
Yeah.
to try to help keep everything off.
Yeah, and I strip off the cotton as a first layer if I sweat because it'll keep me cold if I don't.
Right.
When I'm sitting and glassing.
But if I'm climbing, I like it because it soaks everything out, and then everything don't get wet. And then when I get up there, I can peel that off. Right.
Yeah.
So then I got number 5 synthetic or merino midweight thermal long underwear, top and bottom. So we got lightweight and midweight, and that's just because a lot of times in your pack, you'll start out with a lightweight, and you get up there, and you get glass, and you'll get cold.
Yeah.
And you can put on the midweight.
Put on another layer. Yeah.
So it's nice.
Keep you glassing another hour.
Yep.
Yep.
So number 6, uninsulated synthetic soft shell pants, 2 pair. I know a lot of guys like Kuiu, a lot of guys like Sitka, there's First Light, there's lots of brands out. Kings, there's so many good brands out there now.
Yeah.
And I've tried them all, and I'll be honest with you, they're all really good.
They're all really good, yeah.
I probably wear Sitka more than anything.
Yeah.
But I'm really not partial to it. Like I have all of it, and I've used it all. So
most of what's in the Hill family closet is stuff that I have inherited from other hunting guides that I've worked with, and specifically Hollywood Dave Baronio of Minden, Nevada, who he seems to have boxes of gear that show up on his doorstep, and then he wears them for a hunting season and gives them to me. And so my stuff can be a little worn out, and that helps because I know what stuff lasts. And here's the thing: the Sitka pants, and I want to say it's the is it the mountain pant?
yeah,
Yeah, that has a knee lining and a pad in the seat.
yep,
Those are tough. Those are tough britches.
yeah. And I've sheep hunting, mule deer hunting up high. You slide down those shale chutes and whatever, and I've tore my pants.
Oh man,
Big time,
yeah.
So
Yep.
I like those two. That's my favorite pant as well. That's the one I wear a lot. And I really like them.
Yep.
And I like the way they fit. Right. So I like that. Number 7, soft shell fleece synthetic wool zipped jacket with hood. And the reason why I recommend the hood 2 pair is because then if you're glassing, I can throw that hood up over my head. But I'm not much of a beanie guy. It gets pulling on my hair and whatever, and then I get a headache or whatever long time. So I like having the hood to flip up over my head, And plus, if I'm getting a bunch of sunlight, I can pull that hood over my spot scope a little bit, to kind of shade my view, as I'm glassing. So that's kind of where I go with that. Number 8, synthetic wool pull over hoodie, 1. I like Under Armour again. I use the Under Armour ones. They have the all-weather one that kind of repels a little bit of the rain and whatnot. I like those. They're light, so I can stick it in my pack, and it doesn't weigh anything, I can peel it off, put it on.
There again, that extra layer that is something light. I carry a vest or an extra jacket in the pack just because that can keep you out there another hour.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you got snow, especially in the spring, we've got temperatures from 25 degrees to 75 degrees, and it changes constantly.
The same day.
Yeah, as it's blowing through, so you just have to be prepared. This is a big one for me, rain gear, and again, that's another layer, so you can put all of that on, you can put your rain gear on. I recommend Saddlehorn Outfitters, I recommend rubber rain gear from Hallie Hansen or Gridon, and the only reason is because my years in Alaska.
Oh man,
I wear the same rain gear that the fishermen use.
Yeah,
and it has just completely saved me more times than you can imagine.
I hunted black bears on Prince Wales Island, and the second time I had I had head to toe rubber rain gear.
Right. Because, I've been up there and the Gore-Tex stuff gets saturated through it. The water wicks up it, and it works good. It works better in the snow, I think. I wear it a lot more in the snow, but I wear the rubber stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I go with.
Yep.
So make sure it works for you before you come out on a 7-day backcountry hunt,
Yep.
But make sure you got pants and top, one pair. Hunting boots, good quality Gore-Tex, one pair. There's so many good brands out there, Kenetrek, Crispy, Scarpa.
Yeah.
There's so many. I wear Schnees. I like Schnees.
Yeah.
And that's the ones I go with. But that's just because I guess the way my foot's shaped or whatever, they fit.
One thing I recommend to folks coming out on a hunt, maybe if they don't hunt, you and I wear boots out. If they don't wear their boots out, or you get a new pair of boots, wear them for a month around the house before you come out. Get those babies broken in before you hit the hill, because there again, that's another thing that can cause enough discomfort that it can wear, just little things. These are just little mental things that can wear on you the third, fourth day out there, and you're chasing a big old bear, and it might be that, it's going to come down to the wire, and those little things can keep you out there hunting.
Right, and that goes back to our feet again, and then number 11 is the same thing, I say boot insoles, one pair, and I like the athletic ones, Sheep Feet makes some. There's a lot of different ones out there, right? But I use the athletic ones. Like if you're going to work out, you go to one of these places like it used to be Guard Sports, or you can go to $5 Sporting Goods or any of them places and buy, some insoles.
I like the Dr. Scholl's work boot insole that Dr. Scholl's, right? And I buy them off Amazon or Walgreens, and man, they're about as comfortable, at least for me.
And I wore those too, and I like them. Yeah. But I usually always change the insoles in my hunting boots. Like
$15-$20 that can make a huge difference.
I throw the other ones, and then I always carry another pair with me in my bag, whatever. And then synthetic wool gloves, I have on here 2 pair. I probably bring 4 or 6 pair of gloves. I bring a lot of gloves because I'm riding a horse, and my hands are out all the time because I got a pack string and all that stuff. So
if you're hunting in Idaho, the other thing I would put there is a pair of leather gloves, because your bear's probably gonna roll into a patch of briars, and you got those rose bushes up there, and I've reached, put my hand on those and pushed one back and come out with thorns in my fingers for a month.
And so the same thing is in Alaska, with Devil's Club.
Oh man!
And then up there, you're using the bush axe a lot, chopping, and the leather gloves keep you from getting hand injuries. So I agree. Number 13, synthetic or wool cap. One, just in Idaho, I guess you could use the vented trucker type, in the spring and whatever. In the fall, I like something that's more, holds the heat in a little bit more. And
I wear the Stormy Chromers of the Wyoming Trading Company builds a rancher cap that's all wool, and I don't go in the woods without them.
Yeah, I agree. So that's what I like as well. And of course, I wear a cowboy hat all the time, and my hat's 100X Beaver, so it repels the water pretty good and keeps some heat in as well. So
you got 2 good rainstorms in a hat. Then we got to send him back to Chaz, and he reached. You know what? This one right here got smashed, and I sent it back to. He was a little ornery. He didn't know why I'd keep such a good hat in a place that could get smashed, but.
Well,
but he fixed it.
He always
fixes it. Thank you, Chaz. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, and he makes the best cowboy hat.
Man.
Yeah,
he's the best.
He is the best, and I wear one all the time. So, a baseball cap, like I said, that's kind of whatever, because you got a lot of different a belt or suspenders, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Like, some of them, like our Sitka pants we were talking about, have the suspenders come with them.
Yeah.
I love those. I always have a belt on, too, because I always have a knife on my belt, because if I have to cut a horse loose or something, I've got to have a knife on me. A lot of people just carry their hunting knife in their pack or whatever. But
I can't imagine, and just I think it's a genetic thing. I don't know, just the way I can't imagine going in the woods without a knife on my belt. But yeah, I just
I know people do, and that's up to them.
Yep.
Number 16, camp shoes. So be sure and bring some kind of camp shoes. Some people wear Crocs. I just have a pair of tennis shoes.
Yeah.
All it is something to walk around, so you don't have to wear your hunting boots all the time if you're in camp.
Yep.
Right. It's nice to let your feet air out and get into something else. So I recommend that. As far as gear, now we're going to go into the gear. And I know clothing is gear too, but I got to kind of designate. So spring bears, Saddlehorn Outfitters, I require 270 caliber or larger.
Yeah.
It's just my preference. Our shots are usually under 100 yards. 270 is big enough. I know 257, 6.5. Everybody has their own thing. I say 270 because I'm the one that has to go in the brush after them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And personally, I think a 308 will kill any living black bear on the planet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I've got a few of them that's loaner guns. So ammunition, be sure and bring 40 rounds.
What's funny is going back, Bob Barlow. I'm riding behind him one day. He's got a pack animal. I got a pack animal. He turns around. And he says, "The one debate I will not engage in is the best caliber."
Yeah, he told me and him got into that the other day. Yeah. Same exact thing.
He says, "I will not have that conversation."
I was up in Story. I think I called you up, and I was up there.
This is a guy that spent 40 years doing this. But I think, you're right to call a minimum caliber there. You're going in, you got a 400-pound black bear. You got to go into the briars sometimes on your hand. I've been into briars on my hands and knees chasing after a wounded bear. And, it's obviously having my pistol out in front of me, but it's a life-changing event.
Right. And black bears are one thing. In Alaska, I've been in the brush with brown bears and grizzly bears and been the one in there. And yeah, it's a deal, but we're going to shoot something bigger than a 270 up there. Western
big game critters are tough.
Yes, they are.
They're tough critters.
And if you hit them wrong, you hit them in the shoulder bone, something, so that comes to ammunition, Number 2 on the gear list side, 40 rounds, choose premium bullets. I don't care if they shoot factory loads, hand loads, make sure your gun, we're going to go out, we're going to shoot your rifle. I'm going to watch you handle your rifle. We're going to, and if you're not comfortable, you need some tip, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll work through all that. But, we want a good premium bullet, and core lock is a premium bullet. There's been a lot of critters killed with a core lock.
Yeah.
All the bullet manufacturers make good bullets. All I'm saying is just don't.
So many great bullets now. You got Barnes, you got the Hornady ELDX. We talked about Berger's in our last segment. Berger makes so many great bullets, but there's just there's so many great choices now.
There is. There's a lot of great choices. Rifle sling. I'm telling you, bring a sling. If we're climbing hills, whatever, it's great to have. If we get somewhere where I feel like there's going to be grizzly bears stuff, I'm going to ask you to take your sling off your rifle and carry your rifle in your hands, because it don't do you any good if it's slung and one charges.
Yeah, right.
You're going to use whatever's in your hand, and if your rifle's not in your hand, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So, rifle slings carrying, where we hunt, there's grizzly bears. We're not going to tie them to our pack and all that kind of stuff. That might work other places, but it's not going to work in grizzly country.
Yeah, I've had a hunter with his rifle in the pack, and he was about 20 yards from a big chocolate color phase black bear, and he was able to get. He kind of had it rehearsed in his head, I think, already how to get it out, but yeah, I was sure skinning my pistol while he was fishing that out, just because I didn't know exactly how that was going to go down.
Right. And we're going to go through that here in another segment coming up about sidearms for carrying in bear country.
Yep.
So what we recommend, whatever. So scope covers, I like the neoprene ones. I've tried the flip cap ones. I've tried all of them. The flip cap ones, when it's cold, they freeze. They get water in them still. They're all about the same. I mean, it keeps the debris out and whatever.
Yep.
Be sure you carry some cleaning cloths, so you're not going to scratch your optics.
Yep.
Bring a good pair of binoculars. Our guides have all got spotting scopes. We all carry spotting scopes. So there's, a lot of guys like to bring a spotting scope. I go on a guided hunt. I still take my spotting scope because I can't sit there all day unless somebody else glass.
I'm with you, man.
So I'm not telling anybody not to bring one. If they want to bring one, bring one. I'd like more eyes looking on the mountains better, right?
And I got a lot of friends, a lot of guys that are way better hunters than I'll ever be that hunt with 15 power binoculars, and they put them on a tripod, and that works pretty good too. But, good glass is just, and when we're talking good glass, we're talking Zeiss Swarovski. Vortex makes really great glass nowadays. They make great glass that's affordable to hunters. But even then, I'm probably still going to go for a razor sort of level of optic.
Yeah.
I have this Kawa here. Our friends Maven there in Lander makes really, but there's just so much great glass out there. But it's going to take $800,000-$900,000 to buy a good set of 10 by 42, 10 by 50 binos.
Right, and I'm an optics whore. I go with the Swarovski.
Yeah, you got good stuff.
I like good optics. That's one thing I learned from Riley. Is optics is it's got me a lot of big trophies. Got me a lot of hunters, a lot of big trophies.
I've sold a rifle, a good scoped rifle, to get a great premium set of binos, and it was worth it.
And it's just like that. I mean, you're better off buying a cheaper rifle and putting a good optic on it than you are buying a more expensive rifle and putting a cheap optic on it.
Absolutely.
So
yep.
Internal frame packs. You brought one today. I think yours is a Kuiu. You and I discussed this before. There's so many out there. I can't get them to last me. Like, I'm hard on them. Yeah. Because they're in the mud, they're in the dirt. I use them every day. They're on pack horses. They're in the back of ATVs. They're in the back of pickups. And the biggest thing is that I wear out is probably zippers. The dirt gets in those plastic zippers, and next thing you know, you broke the zipper.
Yeah.
Right. So, but for these kind of spring bear hunts, I do an internal frame. A lot of people will see me carrying an external frame. I carry a Barney's pack because if I have to carry the bear, I put the whole cape in there and the head and the whole thing, and the meat all in one load, Brown bears in Alaska, they'll fit in there. I mean, it's a load, but you don't want to cut it in two if you're going to life size it. Yeah. So I carry an external frame a lot. I carry an internal frame, depending on what I'm doing, right? Mm-hmm. But and then a rain cover for your pack. Always bring a rain cover for your pack, and you can buy those. Cabela's everywhere got them. Just buy a rain cover for it, and it just keeps everything from getting wet and ruined. And
boy, have I been grateful for Wolfie loaning me a rain cover for my backpack before.
Yeah,
he carries extras. Yeah,
they're a deal. For sure. Keeps everything from getting wet, your socks and everything else, And then when you put the stuff in the pack, be sure and use Ziploc bags or whatever. Mm-hmm. Water bottle and bladder. I'm sure you're going to go through your pack and you're going to find some of that stuff. I like Life Straw water bottles, water purifying. A lot of guys like water bladders. I don't personally use a water bladder. But a lot of guys do, and they run the hose, up out of their pack, and it's all good. They take, we have water purifying pumps and all that stuff and fill them up. So it's all good for whatever anybody prefers. Headlamps, bring a high quality, at least 100 looms. I, use one way brighter than that. Yeah. The thing about headlamps I'm going to tell the folks is, most of the headlamps now are rechargeable. In the wilderness, it's kind of hard to recharge, especially if it's snow and a cloud cover, and because we're on the wilderness, we don't have power, we don't have generators. Yeah. So you're going to be down to how you're going to charge it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, even in Alaska, I've been plugging it in the airplane.
Yeah.
Trying to charge them, getting people's lights charged back up. So I still am old school. I like AAA. At least I might have some rechargeable ones, but then I've got some that run AAAs.
I would say, on this list, that's another one of these things that can save your life. Is a headlamp.
100%.
Especially, spring bear hunting, you're gonna shoot a bear right before dark. You're gonna cross a canyon to get him skinned and packed in, quartered and packed in the pack, and you're gonna walk out in the dark, and it's rough country. So that's
right.
One thing
I've got one in my headlamp, on my head. I got one in my pack. I got one in my saddlebags, and then I got a flashlight in my pocket. I got another one in my saddlebags.
Yeah.
I got a lot of lights. It's like lighters, Right. I got one in the pocket, maybe one in two pockets, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're spread out. But headlamp batteries, make sure you got plenty of batteries for them, or a way to charge it. Like I say, it's hard to charge sometimes if you don't have a lot of sunlight or whatever. Knife or multi-tool, of course, we talked about that, personally for caping and stuff like that, I like the replaceable blade ones, but I always carry a regular knife, and this one's a buck 110 that I carried a long time.
Yeah. I keep track of my hunting experiences by how many, sort of the first half of my hunting life, I'm in the truck driving and I'm sharpening that knife, and then by the Outdoor Edge knife and the Havalon knives, with replaceable blades, and I don't ever do that anymore.
No, I love them, but I still carry one.
Yeah.
For because I got that one that's all bloody and gutty or whatever, and at least I can cut cheese or
how many
or whatever with that one.
You know how many Outdoor Edge replacement blades it takes to skin a buffalo bull?
Oh.
I just found out.
How many did it take you?
24.
24?
24 blades to skin a buffalo.
So I shot a big buffalo up in Alaska with Bill Stevenson. And Bill and I, we quartered that thing up, and we actually used some pretty nice kitchen knives.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be a deal. And it was 40 below when I shot mine. Yeah. So the hair was really thick,
Man. Yeah.
And it was a deal. But yeah, buffalo are fun, and I can't wait for this year. Get some buffalo hunters to draw some tags, be able to hunt buffalo right there coming out around the elk refuge and whatever in Jackson. We're gonna have fun.
Yep.
But I'm looking real forward to that. Number 12, sleeping bag with an EN rating of 0 to 20 degrees, and I'm saying 0 to 20 for the spring bear. Now, if we're going in the fall, it's going to be 0 to 40 below bag.
Yeah.
Everybody, I kind of recommend a Wiggies from Grand Junction, Colorado. I feel like they're the best bag made, and I've tried a lot of different bags. Mm-hmm. But old Wigatron makes a pretty good bag. That you'll see. That's what Jake uses. That's what I use. He has a system where he has a 40-degree bag, and he has a 0-degree bag, and the 0-degree bag will zip over the 40. The 40-degree bag will zip over the 0-degree bag, and it makes it a 40 below bag. Mm. It's two different bags, but they work really, really well. Yeah. And they're warm even if they get wet. Mm-hmm. And down sometimes it gets wet. It's wet, right? Yeah. So that's kind of my recommendation. Mm-hmm. And they're not that bad. It's like $350 for the set of both bags, Mm-hmm. Anyway, a sleeping pad, inflatable, is most comfortable if it holds air. Yeah, that's what I like. I like the inflatables.
I'm just thinking about all those nights that I've wished I had a sleeping pad beneath. I've slept on pack saddle pads and I've slept on horse blankets, but bring a sleeping pad.
They're light. Back in the old days we didn't have anything, so we would dig a little hole in the ground for your hip to go in, and another one up here for your shoulder to go in. And you'd Get your
About 1:30, you find that rock that you missed, or that sagebrush root.
Yeah,
digging right in your hip. Yep.
Yeah, so a good sleeping pad's a great thing. A waterproof stuff sack for your sleeping bag. You know, make sure you got a waterproof stuff sack. Stick your sleeping bag in there, keeps it dry when you're not in it. A waterproof stuff sack for your clothes. Mm-hmm. Also, you know, they got a lot of different ones, you know, out there. I like the ones that the rafters use are my favorite, you know.
Yeah. Dang sure waterproof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they float.
Yeah.
You know, so it's great. And in Alaska, you know, and even in the Rockies, I will take stuff that, you know, if I'm not in grizzly country, you got to hang everything. But, you know, if you're somewhere where you're not, where the grizzly bears are, you can stick it in there and throw it in the creek or whatever, you know. And it'll keep your food from getting wet, but it'll keep it cold. Yeah. Right. So, a camera, be sure and bring a quality camera. Now, pretty much, you know, your cell phones all work good for cameras. 17 spare glasses or contacts for those that, you know, I wore glasses for the longest time before I got LASIK, and contacts, you know.
And I would even say, you know, for contact lens wearers like me, the daily wears are the best things to have for hunts, because, you know, you don't want to be worried about washing your contacts overnight.
You're right.
Just take them out, throw them away, put a new pair in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, sunglasses, that's a pretty important thing, especially, you know, you get up high, 10, 11,000 feet above timberline.
Yeah.
Man, sunglasses are a lifesaver for me. My eyes are more sensitive now that I have had LASIK surgery to the sun, you know. Sunscreen's really important.
SPF 35 or higher.
Yeah. Keep the blisters off your face. Carmex, you know, anything like that. And, you know, that stuff also works as a fire starter.
Yeah. Yep.
Chapstick, stuff like that, right? But there's nothing worse than being up there and getting blistered on your, you know, because you're closer to the sun the higher you get, you know, and then you get some snow on there and it's reflecting. And
one of the things that can make me really frustrated, aggravated, you know, just annoyed, it's just one of those things, another mental thing that can be there, you know, bothering me and maybe fighting against my best effort out in the field. And, you know, it's such an easy fix to just carry some chapstick.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't like putting it on, but man, it's a lot better.
Lifesaver.
Yeah. So, lighter, make sure, you know, you bring plenty of lighters, like fire starters. Just, they're light. They don't weigh anything. I mean, in Alaska, I've had to take one lighter and light another lighter.
Yeah.
Bust it, get the lighter fluid out of it because everything's wet, and then melt the plastic to get the fire going. So, yeah.
I just make a habit of buying a lighter, you know, when I fuel up on the way to the hunt. It's, you know, or buy a package of lighters, and you could just never have too many of them.
No, everyone, you look in the center console, all of my trucks are 5 or 6. Like they're like in the doors, like everywhere there's lighters, because man, there's nothing worse than needing a lighter and not be able to start a fire.
There again, you know, especially bear, and you know, I've stayed on the mountain all night, you know, not expecting to, but you know, or you know, I've been in a just a blizzard, and a lighter and a fire, a good warm fire is one of those things. I mean, it saves your life, but also it just saves your spirits, you know, saves your attitude.
Oh yeah, big time, absolutely. A towel. You know, so you can wash up. Soap, same thing. Extra medication, cold medication. So, you know, if you're taking medication, make sure you have plenty. Mm-hmm. There's been times in Alaska that we've had to call for emergency evac because somebody's run out of their heart medicine or something, and it's horrible weather, and you can't get the pilot in there, and you got to get them out. You got to get medicine to them, you know. So next thing you know, the Coast Guard is bringing a chopper in there. So it's a deal. So make sure you bring plenty of medication. Ibuprofen. Brenn talked about this a little bit ago. A blister pad, moleskin. Yeah. It works great. At least you know you can put it on there. I always tell everybody to bring a paperback book.
Yeah.
So at least if you're rained in a tent or stormed in, and you can, a lot of times when I'm glassing, I'll take one of the Kelty tents or a Hillyberg or something, the tarp, and I'll put it down over to a set of trekking poles, and you can climb under there. Plus, it makes my glassing better because then I keep the sun off of me, and
yep.
You can sit under there in the middle of the day, read a book, whatever.
So many hunts come down to the guy who can stand to stay out the longest and have the best attitude being there.
Right.
And, a little bit of stimulation for the brain in times when, when the down times that's a good thought.
Right. Number 28, very important spring bear, I'm telling you. Number 28 is bug repellent. And I recommend Ben's.
Yeah.
And I recommend 100% D. In the Palisades, the mosquitoes will pack you off.
Man. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I'm telling you, Boone and Crockett mosquitoes in the Palisades.
But Ben's, I think it works the best for me. That new stuff, that's all that, I don't even know what they make it out of now. That's supposed to be better for you, not cancer causing and all that stuff. But
I'll tell you what, when I'm covered in mosquitoes, I'm not too worried about cancer, but
yeah, I'm the same way. I was thinking the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And the last thing I got is a head net.
Again,
A mosquito head net.
our JT Wolf saved our bacon a couple of times on the head nets. Thank you again.
Right, and I buy them, and I got them in the RVs. I got them in the pickups because I'll tell you what, they'll drive you insane. Mosquitoes will drive you insane. I mean, I carry fly spray and everything for my horses because the animals just are all, they're covered in the stuff too,
Yeah.
So, again, this list is from my, 35 years of experience.
Yep.
And it's not a recommendation. It's just what I kind of recommend.
Yeah.
Of all the places I've hunted. And I think you got a pack. You're going to go through some stuff and show the folks.
Well, for the, being a bit of a DIY guy through the years, if I can keep us from getting our producer upset at us for, this, I like this pack because it's light. So far, it's pretty sturdy. It's still pretty new. I haven't used this one as much, but I've had other packs that were, when they're this big, it seems like the other packs I've had were way heavier. I can see I've already got maybe one of those broken, but this has been a pretty good pack, and it's really light. It's QU pack. Accessible at all times is my goodie bag. And I always keep an extra goodie bag. So I've got some beef stick in here, jerky, power bars, granola bars, nuts. It's all healthy stuff, fruit leathers, stuff that I can survive on, and I have for an extra day.
Right, mostly protein, so it stays with you for a little while.
Mostly protein. And I'll put in an antelope salami stick in here, and eat the whole thing by the time the hunt's over. You got a space blanket. This is an emergency thing.
Man, those things are just like...
Save your life.
It's funny. Gary, he carries like 4 of them in his back. He's got all different sizes of them.
Got the fire starter.
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite kind. See that?
Yeah. I think that might have come from a Saddlehorn Outfitters camp.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that right there is a genuine Utah crude out of the Uinta Basin.
Yeah.
Straight to Woods Cross, Utah.
Again, that stuff will save your life. This is a toolkit, and this is a rifle toolkit. Some guys will have an archery toolkit. I got a little gun oil in there. I got just a few odd little wrenches in there in case I got a loose scope.
Mm-hmm.
I can do a little light repair on a rifle if I have to in the field, and I have, and that's why I have it. Have been out there without it. I keep some tape, rubber tape.
That right there, stuff right there with that rubber rain gear. I've wrapped it around the bottom of my pant legs and around my arms to keep the water from traveling.
Yeah, you can make a Band-Aid with this. There's tons of uses there. I keep some hand warmers in here, foot warmers. Again, this is just stuff that you get wet, it gets cold. This is the kind of stuff that can just keep you out there another hour. I keep 2 headlamps. And I think somewhere in here I got an extra set of batteries.
These are not expensive headlamps.
No.
These are, I think you can buy these for a 3-pack for like $35 or something. And I love them though, these Energizer ones. Jake, this is all Jake swears by, because, we carry them in our saddlebags. We carry them everywhere.
Yep.
Like, it's just a cheap one, but it's a lifesaver.
Yep.
Like, you can have a high quality ones too, I'm not saying not to, but just a little cheap ones.
Yeah, they don't have to be, it doesn't have to be the greatest. And this one's bright. These are bright, especially with new batteries. I keep zip ties. Normally I keep a bigger one than this. I think I got one in here, but zip tie will hold your tag on.
Yeah, that's not going to go around an elk's antler.
No, this one's not. But the kind of elk that I shoot, it might. Now, the other things zip ties do, I've held slings on rifles with zip ties. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. You got your handy wipes.
Oh yeah.
I keep rubber gloves in here, and usually, once in a while I actually use them.
I have to use those. I got shot in 1993 in the hand, and my scars, they break out if that blood gets on them, and it just so I got skin grafts and everything on my hand, and it just I have to wear rubber gloves.
Yeah,
otherwise it breaks them out.
This is seeing some life here. I keep ibuprofen, I keep Tylenol, I keep Aleve, I keep aspirin, Excedrin, and the most important for me in here is that one right there, and that is Benadryl. And I keep Benadryl because this can save your life if you get snake bit by a rattlesnake. Take Benadryl before you even say ow. Get that Benadryl in your system.
How about before I shoot him? Can I shoot him first?
Yeah, shoot him. No, take the Benadryl first, Yeah, because your life's more valuable than his. This is an essential. These are little electrolyte packs. I put these in a water bottle, just a regular plastic water bottle, whatever I'm drinking. This is, again, another thing that will make you feel, when you're carrying a pack, hiking up and down, if you're packing meat, you're packing a hide, you're packing rifles and stuff, this 60, 80 pounds of stuff that's on your back, you're burning 600 calories an hour. Regular water is not going to replenish the electrolytes you're using, so bring some extra.
All right, but these little water bottles, what do they weigh? An ounce?
Yeah.
2 ounces empty?
Yeah.
One of them in the bottom of your pack?
Yeah.
Or even just take them, electrolytes, and stick them down in there or whatever?
Yeah. Yep. Being the fact that I'm kind of always the guide by default if I'm hunting for with friends or my sons, I use a carbon fiber light tripod, and a couple of years ago, I carried a Zeiss spot and scope for years, loved it. It was heavy, and I bought this little Kawa.
That's a handy light little thing.
This is a TSN 553 model, and that's, I don't know what that weighs, but it can't weigh more than a pound.
No, it don't weigh very much at all. The plate on it's just about as heavy as.
Yeah.
I use the same tripod, the Slick. I like the Slick brand as well. Carbon fiber. I've tried Gitsos. I've used them all, a lot of tripods over my lifetime and career. But these are really good tripods.
I will say our friends at Black Ovis, they have their own branded carbon fiber tripods there that are also really great. But anyway, this little setup, has just saved my back immensely through the years. And that Kawa scope, I can look through that all day, not get a headache. Similar to Swarovski or but even high-end glass. Another kind of an emergent. I keep a handsaw. I've probably used this, and I've worn several of these out as much as anything. This is $13 at Walmart or something like that.
Yeah, they're not that much.
Not expensive.
I like the steel brand. That's my favorite. I like the steel ones.
Oh, yeah.
They stay sharp longer, seems like.
Yeah, way longer. Yeah. This is an incomplete first aid kit, but this is, I got bandages in here, tape, gauze, and another thing that can potentially save your life. You may have to get your doctor buddy to give you a script. This is an epinephrine shot. And I can't tell you how many stories I know of guys got in the backcountry. They got allergic to something they didn't realize. Snake bite,
Bee stings.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys allergic to bees. They don't even know it.
Right.
This is another thing that'll save your life or somebody else's close to you. I got antiseptic in there. My uncle Pat used to tell me that good little flask of whiskey made pretty good antiseptic, and so use at your own risk. But there's other reasons besides just chasing off the stress. This is a life straw.
Yeah, I love those.
Another thing that can save your life. I can tell you how many times I've hiked an extra 2 miles just to get to water. I was out there hunting, but all of a sudden, whatever I was hunting is less important than getting to a water source because we were dying of thirst. We just didn't have enough. And then, water treatment drops. These are the things that could save your life, or they just keep you out on the mountain a whole lot longer.
Those little life straws, you can have a water purifying bottle or whatever, but those little life straws, they work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't want to get beaver fever.
No.
Most of the streams in my country, you're going to be, lots of beavers around.
We talked about an extra jacket. This one I think I think this might be waterproof. I keep an extra pair of socks, and this is a pack that I can put on at the truck and walk miles back in.
Yep.
Or I could, this could go a few days. This is my lifeline, and so yeah, extra socks there. I got an extra pair of gloves in there, and as we talked about before, I think the other thing I got sitting down here is my good old Wyoming Traders wool cap.
Talked about those, yep.
Just another thing that can keep you in the battle a little bit longer. Can't remember what else. Gators. Yeah, and you talk about crossing creeks in the spring. The creeks are always higher in the spring.
They are, yep.
And I can't tell you how many times I've been just glad to keep the water out of the tops of my boots.
Yep, and gators will give you that little extra, second to cross the creek or whatever. I don't wear them a lot.
Yeah.
But gators are definitely a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Lots of, probably more of my hunters wear them.
Yeah.
And they wear them every day, even if it's warm or whatever.
Guides wear them. A lot of guides wear them.
A lot of guides wear them.
Here again, I got just a little, some possibles. The old chapstick. That'll keep you in the fight longer. I got another lighter, an extra knife like you. On the other side here, for guys that don't hunt with suppressors, I got my hearing aids here, my hearing protection, and always carry an extra magazine from a bear gun in there. But just some stuff, that like I say, most of this stuff is through the years as I've done this a lot and experienced some mighty cold, hungry, sometimes thirsty nights out on the mountain, wishing that I would have had some of this stuff. It could have made it just that much better. Yeah.
Exactly. Mistakes that we've made that we want to bring the other folks into that, might make your day a whole lot more enjoyable and save your life or somebody else's.
Amen. Folks, there you have it. A couple of fellers who've hunted bears all their life here in the West, from Mexico to Alaska, and opportunities to get out coming up and enjoy the mountains in the beautiful springtime, shake off that spring fever, maybe even get to notch your tag on a big old black Bruin or color phase Bruin, cinnamon Bruin or blown back or something, We want to help you to be successful. If you have questions, go to inthewildoutdoors.com. Send us your questions. Let us know what we may have forgotten. Share with us your favorite black bear hunting tale, tall tale if it is. We've got a few. And make sure you buy your raffle tickets for the spring bear hunt that's coming up with Saddlehorn Outfitters. Again, you might be the lucky winner to be able to hunt with Jesse and his guides this spring. Go to saddlehornoutfitters.com if you want to book a black bear hunt with Jesse.